This is Abhyas classes. I'm Arun Patil. This is the first chapter we are starting today for physics, or it is called Science and Technology Part 1, Chapter 4. That is gravitation. Gravitation. And we know about gravitation because we already have studied in earlier classes, but even though we are stepping up again for the gravitational force in detail to prove what are the laws that is already proved by Isaac Newton. We are trying to understand what exactly, but you know, this very large, this force, it is in very large scale. It is called worlding. Now you know about the force. Before starting for the gravitational force, we should know what exactly mean by force, what exactly mean by motion, what is the effect of force on any object. And that is why we'll just try to recollect what we have studied in last classes. Very first, which type of forces so far we have seen? Can you recollect? I can say, yeah, it's atomic force. Atom, it is treated as the smallest particle of any element. And if you see, there are three elements: protons, neutrons, and electrons. You know, proton is positive, electron is negative, and negative is having attraction towards positive, or positive have the attraction to the negative. Now the nucleus of any atom, that is made by proton and neutron. Neutron is nucleus. So nucleus has become positive, and this made electrons to revolve along the nucleus. You have studied already that electrons are revolving in orbits around the nucleus. That is one force. Do you recollect electromagnetic force? It is the force. This is the electric current that is coming in my home in these classes. How? This is not possible unless there is no any force. That force is electromagnetic force. That is the whole difference. That is the reason why the current can flow from one station to another. Beyond that, you must have experienced the frictional force. Wherever you are going, you are riding on bike, you are applying brakes, or on bicycle you are applying brakes. That is the frictional force. Because of friction, you can stop your vehicle. That is friction. So we can imagine what are the forces and how they are essential in the life. For example, if the gravitational force is not existing, what will happen? Just imagine, you will find very interesting. If I am standing on this land, if I am standing on this floor, that is because of gravitational force. So, if there is no gravitational force, I will fly in the air without any direction. Is it possible for me to take this class? No, it is not possible. Similarly, the effect of the forces on the objects, what are those effects? We must try to understand. Example, there is something object like round lying on the earth, and you are applying the force. If the force is applied, the object which is in standstill position will move forward, or any object that is running or that is in motion already, that can be stopped by force. So force, two effects we have seen about the motion: to start the motion, to stop the motion. This is one. But not only that, it can increase the speed. It can increase. The force is increased, result increase in the speed of this object. Decrease the speed. The force is less, it will decrease. So motion is affected by the force also, isn't it? Beyond that, the direction of the object can be changed. And along the motion, direction also can change. Along the speed, the motion can be changed. For example, very simple example I will tell you. You've seen the cricket game. Bowler is throwing the ball in particular speed and particular direction. It is towards the batsman. Now batsman is hitting the ball. What is the result? Ball goes out of stadium or somewhere in the stadium. What is happened when you see from the angle of science? The speed that definitely have changed. It was 125 or 120 something by bowler. It may be more than that, it may be lower than that. So definitely speed has been changed. And direction was towards the batsman, and now it is against the bowler. It is towards the bowler or somewhere else. Isn't it? It's very nice example to see what is the effect of the force on the object, that is speed and direction. Now while studying this one, how you will relate with the gravitational force? Because it is again force. This is having a big theory for this gravitational force. How it came in practice, how it came in books and science. It was Isaac Newton, who born in 1642 in England. And he collected the data which was written earlier by Johannes Kepler. Kepler was again scientist, but he was astrologer. He was watching, observing the motions of the planets and all these galaxies and something, and was putting some observations on his book. After many years, Isaac Newton born. He studied the gravitational force. It's having some specific reason. And then he analyzed the data. Entire data he is analyzed, and he tried to establish the equations between those motions. And so he extracted the data and formed some science that is of the gravitational force. But note, Isaac Newton is not limited up to the gravitational force. It was one part, it was one aspect what he has studied. Beyond that, he studied about the light. He studied about the noise. He studied about the heat. And many. And the most he has done is about the one branch of engineering, that is calculus. Whenever you will go on studying for mathematics or physics in advance or engineering, it requires some sort of science that is called calculus, and it is invented by Sir Isaac Newton. Kepler has proven his own theory. He has proven some laws, and those are interfaced by Isaac Newton, and he has concluded, he has put many equations, and that all those equations, all those conclusions are kept in one book written by him, is Principia. This was a great. Any of you when become scientists about this, definitely will go on reading this one. But now, under the scope of 10th standard, what is the basic about the gravitational force? How it has been connected to the life? That is the focus point. You see, you have studied the science so far, but from the angle just for acquainted. You wanted to acquainted with the science that is spread all over in this world. So small terms were said to you, were taught to you. But now, as you become the student of 10th, now you are deserving to understand and interlink the science with this world. Now the real phase has been started to understand the science from your environment and to apply that science and to think logically, scientifically for this science. This is the main object of the 10th syllabus of Science and Technology. So students, Apart from the examination, apart from all this load what you are taking in the term of studies, you just go on, open your eyes, study these and try to think logically and scientifically how this science, you will find it very interesting. To study for exam is one part, it will happen automatically, but you try to understand something new energy that will be developed in your mind, and you will be the scientist of tomorrow. Yes, I am assuring you. Dear friends, what we have seen so far is, first, what is force, which are the forces, and what is the effect of forces on object, that we have studied so far. Among from that, you must have studied the centripetal force. What was that? Can you recollect? See, if something object is revolving in some orbit, there is some force that is called centripetal force. And you have done this exercise earlier. One string, an object is tied at the another end, and the other end is in my hand. And you are just revolving it. What is happening? It is a circular motion of that object is happening. Like here, I have some chain, keychain. So I'll just put my finger inside. So imagine this finger, and I'll just revolve like this. What is happening? All the keys are revolving around some certain. But don't take it granted. Now imagine there is string. One object is tied here and second object is in my hand. When I'm revolving around some, or object is moving in some orbit. Why? That is because of the centripetal force, isn't it? Then again we have seen 3 laws of Isaac Newton. They are fundamental laws. First law, any object which is in dead position, which is in standstill position, has to move. There requires force. Any object that is in motion, you want to stop it, it requires force. Unless force, you cannot move the object from one position to another position, or you cannot stop any object moving all along. Isn't it? Second law, F is equal to mass into acceleration. F, force, how much that force is? Mass into acceleration. Suppose I want to move this object from this place to another place. What is the force that is required, that can be established from it? What is the mass of that object? And that is multiplied by the speed. In which speed you want to move it, that is called force. In other words, can I say A is equal to F upon M? I mean, the speed we can control, it is the reason. Speed, it is force divided by mass. This was the second law, and third law is repulsion law. If you are acting something same, in the same magnitude, reaction will happen, but in opposite direction. Means, if I am pushing some object towards this wall, same reaction from that object will come, I mean same in magnitude, but in opposite direction. That is the force. These 3 laws we have seen so far. And we want to know about the gravitational force on these principles.